Dank times, Danker thoughts, sweet vibes and taking it sleazy. The dankness is taking over, nonsense is dancing through his mind. Oh, the dankness is taking over. Dank times, Danker thoughts with Angelo Grosso.
Hello, hello, hello. I know it's been a while, and I know most of you are thinking, oh, God, I miss Angelo's voice. Oh, where is he? I never knew how much he meant to me until he was gone for an extended amount of time. Well, forgive me, everybody. It's been a tumultuous 2 weeks, mostly good. Actually, better than mostly good. The first week and a half of these last 2 weeks has probably been one of the best couple of days in my life over the past couple of years, maybe decades, maybe ever. Maybe the last few days have been the best ever. I don't know. However, the last handful of days has been a goddamn shit show. So, let's catch everybody up. But before I do, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's okay. We're having heat waves. July was the hottest month in Earth's recorded history. The Taliban's taken back Afghanistan. Florida is sinking into the Atlantic. California's on fire. The Middle East is on fire. Australia's on fire. But Angelo is back. The Suicide Squad sequel, mwah, brilliant. I finally watched a movie 4 years in the making, and the old man's health is basically back to normal, for better or worse. Excuse me. He has been progressing, and I believe on the last podcast, I was talking a little bit about the medication things, the little scuffling going back and forth. Well, now they've kind of balanced it out, and he's been on this new regimen now for about a week, and his strength, I don't think, is ever going to be back to where it was, but he's not getting dizzy or nauseous. He's not peeing himself. He still is peeing a lot more, but that will subside, so said the doctors. So all in all, he's doing a lot better, which made me get the green light for a couple things. The last weekend, I don't remember dates, people, it doesn't matter. I got together for a little weekend trip with my Dungeons and Dragons group of friends who I love dearly. And, I'm friends with them for much more than just Dungeons and Dragons, which, by the way, if you're thinking about playing, just fucking do it. And I hadn't had a weekend away from home in quite some time. I was really looking forward to it, and it lived up to the expectations for the most part. The only downside was I thought we'd be spending more time together. But I get it, some people were visiting from out of town and they had other things to do. Other people have families, whereas me, I got all the time in the world. Well, to call a spade, I did show up later than I wanted to on Saturday. I got held up at the house for about an hour and a half longer than I wanted to, and the drive was a little bit longer than normal, so I got out there about 1 o'clock. I was hoping I'd get out there around 11:30, so what are you going to do? And I also thought we would stay a little bit longer on Sunday. I brought breakfast fixins. I also brought Manhattan fixins, which you never got to, but I'll get back to that. But what happened was we all woke up Sunday. We did a deep clean of the house, and we all decided just to leave, which was a little disappointing to me. But again, I understand. Not everyone is like me in their availability. But I gotta tell you, it was a raucous crowd. One of my best friends brought onesies for everybody because we were going to dress up as onesies and play D&D, and it was just going to be a big old thing. And I got so busy the week prior, I didn't have time to go get a onesie, so luckily my friend said, I'll just bring everyone some. He got me a flying squirrel onesie, which I posted photos online if you want to see that shit. And then the nice guy gave it to me. So now I have a flying squirrel onesie. It fits for the most part. It's a little baggy in other areas and very tight in other areas, but what are you going to do? That's what happens when you're shaped like a pear. But everybody brought so much alcohol, so much marijuana, and so much food. It literally was like we packed for at least a week-long trip instead of just a 2-day, 1-night trip. But it was so much fun. It was out in Snohomish. One of my buddies in the group had a family friend who had a cabin on the lake out there. I don't remember the lake's name, forgive me, but who gives a fuck? It had a very nice dock, and the weather was, the weekend prior, it was just gorgeous 80-degree weather. Last weekend, it was overcast, and we even got some rain. So that was one thing I wish we could have done, is I brought my swimming trunks, and I wanted to go out and swim a little bit, but that was the only thing I really didn't get to do. I was pretty happy overall. We played D&D for a couple hours, and then we also played what's the game? I brought a couple games. What Do You Meme? Is that the game? What Do You Meme? It's like Cards Against Humanity, but instead of the black cards, it's giant memes, and you have to pick the card. You know, it's basically Cards Against Humanity, apples to apples, but with memes. I don't need to go more in depth. I smoked way too much marijuana, and I know I never thought Angelo would say that. I smoked so much marijuana that I think I was still stoned up until the following Tuesday. But it was such a fun time. Such a fun time. I loved every minute of it. I wish we could have stayed at least the full Sunday, and then maybe another night would have been fun, but I'll take what I can get. And I had such a fun time. I love my little flying squirrel onesie. I love the game. I love the food and the booze. And, you know, at a certain point, I was just taking pulls out of this big jar of ginger vodka that I brought. But by the way, I'm getting to the point in my life where I don't really like cocktail mixers because they're so sugary or fruity or just too much. Basically, they're too sugary and too full of calories and sometimes carbs. And so what I like to do is either take the shots or just sip a little bit. But vodka, I like to usually put with some lemon or lime or something, you know, a cranberry juice, what are you on your period? Those kind of drinks. But my buddy recommended me, I don't know, probably a year or so ago, this ginger vodka. And I thought, ginger vodka, gross. But I took a shot of it. It was smooth. It was like I could sip this smooth. So I bought it, and I tell you, I can just take swills of this, and it's so smooth. It's strong, but it's so good. So I was sipping that, smoking, toking, getting into some problem, but it was fun. It was so much fun. I'm so happy I did it. I really didn't have a getaway like that in a long time, and I was able to come back just fine, and I went to work for one day, that Monday, and then I decided to take the rest of last week off and some of next week off because due to my father's progressing health and my much available vacation time at work, and I talked to my dad about it, I told him, hey, I'm going to go to Idaho with my buddies. You're back to health, you know. There's no reason for me not to. He pushed back a little bit. But then, all in all, he agreed with me. And I told him I was only going to be gone for the following weekends. I think I was going to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and come back on Monday. So a 4-day trip. And I told him as long as you can survive that weekend, we'll be okay. And that's what I was looking forward to. But I also had been talking to a lady online, and she worked for the cruise line industry. I don't remember the name of the cruise line, but it doesn't matter. It's not one of the more common ones for the white trash folks. You know, the Carnivals, the Virgins, the, what are the other basic bitch ones? But anyway, she works for the more hoi polloi ones. Fancy, extravagant, wealthy. Athletes, actors, politicians, Microsoft and Amazon execs, those kind of douches. Those are the people that she works on the cruise line for. And I told her that I was on vacation for a couple days, and she was staying in Seattle for a couple weeks until, you know, she gets called away on a next cruise. And so we decided to meet up during the week. And let me tell you how that went. Now, a little backstory here about your boy Angelo. It's personal story time with Angelo. Oh, I don't know how many podcasts ago, an eternity ago, I was kind of ranking the types of women that I find attractive. And I don't remember the order back then, but the order that's in my head now, which to me has always been the order. When I was young, the very first type of woman that I was attracted to, and I'm talking young, like 8, 9, 10. I don't know what I saw or what happened, but it just happened. I became immediately attracted to Eastern European women, Ukrainians, Russians, Moldovans, Estonians, Lithuanians, Latvians, those kind of people, Hungarians, Czechs. I love their accents. To me, they're just gorgeous, supermodel looking. And the older I got, those feelings were reinforced by the majority of the Eastern blockers, if you will, that I would meet. And I liked their sense of humor, their outlook on things, their ability to kind of sift through the bullshit and tell it like it is. The women tend to not do like double speech. They tend to tell you what they mean, tell you what they want. Whereas, not to make a generalization, with the mass majority of white American women that I have been with, kind of do a thing where they tell you something, so then you act on it, and then they get angry or annoyed or upset and say, well, I know that's what I said, but what you should have known was, even though I said this, I really meant this. And you're looking at her like, how old are you? But I have never really run into that with, well, that's not true, but the majority of the time I have not run into this with the Eastern blockers. And then number 2 is Asians, predominantly Korean and Japanese. And then number 3, what the fuck is number 3? Black women, and miscellaneous, everything else. I don't know, white, Arab, Hispanic, I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter, but the top 2 very clearly are Eastern European and Asian. So far in my life, if you're looking at purely relationships, sex, or dating, I have done most of the 3 of those things with the majority of types of women that I talked about, except the Eastern European. I have never had a successful relationship. I've gone on dates, but I've never had sex with a Eastern European. Everybody else, yes. So, I don't know why, but I still have this attraction, even though I haven't really had any luck in any kind of that department besides going out on a date. And really, if I'm being honest, I've only gone on legitimately dates with one Moldovan. Now, I've been in contact with other Eastern European women, but just nothing has ever happened romantically or in a relationship like that. We're either platonic friends. We may, some flirty stuff every now and then, but for the most part, it's just friendly. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing is happening. Nothing will happen. Those kind of things. And, to be perfectly frank yet again, I have not had any luck on the dating apps with any Eastern European women. So, it was a shock and a surprise, in a good way, that a couple weeks ago, I found a very attractive Ukrainian girl on one of the dating apps. I immediately thought, I'm going to swipe yes, even though I'm never going to hear from her. I decided I was going to swipe yes, even without reading her profile. But I eventually did read the profile, and just based on the profile, I thought we were a good match. But, horny, stupid Angelo thought, oh, hot Ukrainian, yep, and I moved on with my horny life. So, to my shock and awe, a day later or something, I got an update saying, oh, you matched with, blankety blankety blank. And I thought, oh, maybe there is a God. And we started to chit chat. Got to know a little bit about her, Got to find out Ukrainian, how old she was when she started working for the cruise line industry. What's that like? How does she like Seattle? What is her hobbies? What is she into? Blah, 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 blah. You get to know somebody. And I'll be damned if we had a lot in common. We started sending voice texts. And then I told her I was on that vacation coming up. Wednesday, I was all free for her. I was dedicating a day to her. and we decided that we both like museums. So she picked the Monet exhibit at the Seattle Art Museum. However, they were closed on whatever day we were going to. So then we decided to go to a backup plan, which is the Museum of Pop Culture, formerly the EMP Project, the Experience Music Project, not the EMP Project. Yeah, doofus. So I thought, worst case scenario, if she's catfishing me, or if we don't click, we don't vibe, or she's an awful person, who knows? Worst case scenario, at least I get to go to the Museum of Pop Culture, which I have never been to. I have never been there. I've been to the EMP, I think, twice, but that was probably 10, 12, 15 years ago. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And the weather was gorgeous, and so I thought, even if it's a bust, I'll at least take her to walk around a little bit, because I haven't been in Seattle during the pandemic, really. I haven't walked around at all. So I was kind of excited just to kind of walk around the more touristy areas of Seattle. I haven't been to the, whatever the new Key Arena is called, Climate Pledge, the Durka Center, I don't fucking know. I haven't been to the Space Needle area. I haven't been to the Pacific Science Center. So I thought at the very least I get to experience a little bit of Seattle, which I haven't been to in about a year and a half to 2 years. So that was my mindset going in. So we decided to meet at the Museum of Pop Culture. I got there, I parked, I was walking, and I saw her from a distance. And I thought, that's not her. She's too goddamn gorgeous. No offense to her. I don't know if she'll ever listen to this. By the way, I got her permission to talk about this. Was that I thought she was beautiful on the app. And we started sending videos and photos to each other, and I still thought she was pretty damn good looking. But in person, holy shit. I don't know what filters she was using on those phones, but they were not doing her justice. She was so much more attractive in person. She also was a lot shorter than I thought, which is not a big deal to me. I don't give a fuck how tall or short a girl is. I don't care. I judge everyone equally. Although if I had to choose, I wouldn't mind a girl that is a little bit shorter than me, which she was. So now I'm thinking, holy shit, she's gorgeous, she's got good height, and she's an amazing personality. Not in that order, people. But I just thought, this is amazing. Let's see how the date actually goes. And it went amazing. Amazing. The Museum of Pop Culture was so much fun. Little pricey, if I'm being honest. Do you know how much it was for 2 adult tickets, plus to go see the special exhibit, which you have to pay extra for? You have to pay extra to see the special exhibit at any given time. So they charge you twice. Not to mention how much they charge you to park or across the street. So go fuck yourself, Seattle City Council. But 2 tickets, parking, and a very, very, very shitty, disgusting lunch, which I'll get into that later. Go fuck yourself, Wolfgang Puck, putting your name on that disgusting abortion of a restaurant. So it was about $100 for all of that. But it's a date. I'm excited to meet her. I'm excited to experience the day. Fuck it. It's only money. You can't take it with you, you cheap fuck. So went through all of the exhibits, and the special exhibit, which, again, you had to pay extra for, you fucking cheap bastards, was the Princes and Princesses of Disney section, which was my least favorite exhibit, but it was still cool to see all the costumes from all these famous movies. I did get to see Johnny Depp's Pirates of the Caribbean 1 outfit, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. The rest of them I really didn't give a fuck about. The girl I was with loved Cruella de Vil, and they had 3 outfits from 2 versions of her. 2 by Glenn Close, and 1 by the bitch that played her on the Once Upon a Time TV show, which none of us watched. But it was cool. But my favorite part of the Museum of Pop Culture was the science fiction and fantasy sections. They broke them up. They have science fiction, then they have a fantasy section, and they have a horror section, which is also pretty cool. And the music sections were pretty cool, too. Don't get me wrong. The Nirvana and Pearl Jam sections were amazing to me, just because, of course, that's my music that I grew up with. But I've seen those before. The really cool ones to me, like I said, were the fantasy and sci-fi sections. No offense to the horror sections. The horror stuff was amazing as well, but I just like sci-fi and fantasy content better. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. If you have a day to kill or if you don't know what to do for a first date, take your bitch ass to that pop culture museum in downtown Seattle. It will not be a waste of time. What is a waste of time is if you eat at that fucking disgusting cafe they have inside there, and they have Wolfgang Puck's name all over it. Now, to me, Wolfgang Puck is a respectable chef, cook, whatever he wants to call himself. I trust his name. He's like Emerald Lagasse. When I was a kid, I used to love buying, well, I didn't buy, my parents bought it, but I would always put it in the cart and they had to buy it. The Emerald Lagasse pasta and the pasta sauce. Was it any better than Prego or some of that other cheaper shit? I don't know. But how do you not buy the Emerald Lagasse shit? So, Wolfgang Fuck puts his name on this restaurant, and I walk in and it's dead. That should have been a warning right there. But I said, well, maybe it's just because it's a Tuesday or Wednesday during the day. Maybe that's a slow day. And they had everything walled off, and so I asked the woman working the counter, is it okay if we eat here? She said, oh yeah, we're open. And I'm looking for a menu or something, and she points behind me to like this little counter where they have a, just a framed menu. And I thought, oh, okay, that's fine, because of COVID, you don't want to touch shit, I get it. But they had like 4 items on the menu, and they were all kind of chicken shit, like ham and Swiss sandwich. Like, I can make that at home, motherfucker, what else you got? Tuna sandwich, which they were out of, but it didn't look that good to begin with. And they had, shit like that, but nothing special. Nothing that should have Wolfgang Puck's name on it. And so I said, well, the best one that looks to me is the turkey Swiss ciabatta, but I didn't see it anywhere. And so I walked up to the counter to order it, and she literally gave me a prepackaged in a plastic little container sandwich. And I thought, this is what I'm paying $11 for? Once again, go fuck yourself, Seattle City Council. What the fuck? It's disgusting. The ciabatta bread was tough. It tasted like leather. The cheese sucked. The lettuce sucked. The turkey was dry. Go fuck yourself. The coffee was good. They did make me a latte. I can't complain about the latte. The latte was 9 out of 10. But the sandwich, I couldn't even finish it. I offered half of it to the girl. She said, oh, no, I already ate today. And I forgot that not everyone eats like us fucking Americans, a giant-ass sandwich in the middle of the day with all the carbs and shit. By the way, do you know what her breakfast was that day? A cigarette, black coffee, and a croissant. How more stereotypical can you get? But she was good all day. She wasn't hungry the rest of the day, so maybe we're the fools. So I threw away half the sandwich, making a joke that I'm not even sure a homeless person would want to eat this trash. And then we decided to just walk around Seattle. And by the way, up to this point, I'm being quite a gentleman, opening the doors for her, walking close to her. I'm not holding hands, I'm not being too forward, because my thinking is, first date, I don't know what she's expecting. She doesn't live here. She's just in town for a couple weeks. Let's just have fun and go on a fun date to a fun place. That was my thinking. But as we progressed through the museum, I noticed she was getting a little closer to me. We started to shoulder one another, elbow one another. She pushed me into a wall and laughed and stuff, and she has a very sexy laugh. It could be the accent, people. It could be the accent. I am a sucker for that sexy accent of the Eastern Europeans. So I thought we were going pretty good. So then we leave the museum, and we start walking around outside, and, we're not walking hand in hand yet, but we're still, grazing each other's arms, and every now and then I touch the lower of her back to point out something, or she does something to me of something of equal body touching. We were walking around for maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours, seeing the sights, smelling the urine smell of the homeless, trying to not make eye contact with the drug addicts. And we found a very beautiful bench area that had a bunch of art around it and a bunch of beautiful foliage. I'm talking pine trees, Japanese maples. I think they even had some hibiscuses there, but I could be wrong. It was very aromatic. It was just great, and it was kind of off the beaten path. So all the pond scum that live around there just kind of filter out in the main ways, and The more high class people like us can hide away up in the foliage with the art and the concrete marble benches. But so far, this date has been one of the better first dates I've ever been on. And I can tell that she's equally having a great time. Now, I got to take a quick break here because I'm dying of thirst, but I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So where were we? Oh, yes. So we're sitting on the bench talking for about an hour and a half, and I realize that we're sneaking in closer and closer and closer. And I feel like, you know what? Let me take a calculated risk. And I put my hand a little bit out, and she immediately grabbed it, and then we started holding hands. And people, I lied to you not, just me holding her hands for a little bit, looking at her, talking to her. I started to feel a little rosy inside, if you catch my drift. I started to get a little aroused, you know. Not like I was ready to cause a scene or anything, but I was starting to feel the early rumblings, you know. But again, I'm an adult. And I was like, okay, well, obviously it's because I'm holding her hands, I'm looking at her, I'm obviously attracted to her, but, you know, don't be a goddamn savage, you know. And I shit you not, and 5 or so minutes later, she just looks at me, and then just, boom, went right in for the kiss. She kissed me. Both of us were kind of breathing hard because it caught me off guard. I didn't know it was going to happen so quickly. I was thinking about doing it, but eventually, again, that Eastern European thinking, fuck it, I want to kiss him. He's there. I'm going to go for it. Bam. So then I kissed her back. We started kissing a little bit. But, you know, I've never been big on PDA, public displays of affection. So I would look around, and the only person that was there was this, I would say, late 30s white woman with her German Shepherd dog, who was staring right at us and kind of smiling. Like she was getting into it a little bit, which, hey, maybe she just likes witnessing young love. I don't know what to tell you, but it was kind of creepy. Even the dog was looking at me. So we did that for a little bit. Then we stopped and joked about it. We talked a little bit more. Then we kissed a little bit more. And I could start to see in her body language, she's kind of breathing hard. She's getting flushed herself. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, this is fun. This is leading in the right direction. And then she looks at me and she said, we have to do something. And I thought immediately, like go get dinner or something. What is she talking about? Like, that's where my stupid fat brain goes. Oh, food. I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was honestly thinking of food, traffic. We have to see each other again. Maybe this is where we're cutting it off, you know, because I have been on dates in the past where things get a little hot and heavy a little too quickly, and either I say it myself or the lady does. Hey, let's pump the brakes here. I definitely want to see you again, though. And yes, I have done that, okay? I didn't just say that as a throwaway. I know some guys are listening to that going, yeah, right, what is he, a gay? And I know some ladies are thinking, yeah, right, all men are dicks. But no. I have said no to sex multiple times on the first and sometimes second dates because it did not feel right. And I know if I don't feel right, then the sex is not going to be good for either of us. Unless you're a psychopath and that's how you get off. Then go get professional help, you dirtbag. But I don't slut shame, so you do you. So she tells me we have to do something. And I told you what I thought. And I said, oh, like what? Thinking she's going to say, I don't know, let's go get some Asian food and then I'll talk to you when you get home. That's honestly what I thought she would say. And she says, oh, we have to have sex or something. This doesn't happen very often, people. I am not a hookup guy, a one-night stand guy. I'm not. I never have been. Even when I tried when I was younger in my college years, I never felt good about it. I don't have that kind of game. I just don't. And with her, it felt a little bit different. It didn't feel like we were rushing to anything. It didn't feel like this was a bad decision. It felt like, oh, this is just the natural progression of things. And I said, oh, yeah, well, where's our hotel at? She told me where it was, and I said, well, let's get the skidoo out of here, you know, skeet, burp, burp, you know. And the fucking traffic. The traffic, Seattle. Why is it so bad all of the time, everywhere, always? Figure your shit out. It took me about 20-something minutes, almost a half hour, to go basically 2 miles. And the whole time, both of us are just horny as fuck, okay? she's breathing hard, like really, like ugh, ugh. And I'm thinking, Jesus, am I an animal here? Like, what is? Am I just giving off this weird pheromone or something? But then I looked at my complexion, and I'm rosy cheeked, and my eyes are like really focused, and I'm like, oh yeah, the fucking testosterone's kicking in. I'm ready to rock too. But I was getting so angry at the traffic. That's where the testosterone was heading. It wasn't heading to Poundtown like her line of thinking was. With me, I was like, these goddamn cars. Why are there so many bicyclists? How do I still smell the homeless even though my windows are up and the air conditioning's on? What is happening to my city? I finally get to her hotel. Of course, no parking anywhere. And I assumed her building would have parking that I could just pay in a garage. They only had valet. No signs that said that. So I turned into her hotel parking, and it literally was like a 10 by 10 room. So I had to finagle out of that. I don't know how people park in there. I think that it was a valet. It was a valet. I'm sorry. It was a valet. It took me forever to back out of that fucking place. And someone was nice enough to let me in eventually. And this whole time, I could just tell. Well, it's not just her. We both are just jonesing to just start making out. Like it's in the air. You can smell it, you know? By the way, is there anything more attractive than that pre-sex kind of like rush of adrenaline? And it does kind of give off a smell, doesn't it? A stank, but it's a good one. If they could ever bottle that or make it a candle, I would buy it. But everyone would be beaten off all the time, so maybe they don't sell that candle. This would be a very unproductive society if we had that pre-sex smelling candle and cologne and perfume. But anyway, I digress. Finally, I was able to get a parking spot, which was, $10 for a couple hours. I can't complain. In the heart of downtown Seattle, right off Seneca Street, $10 parking for more than 5 hours, I'd say that's a pretty good deal. So you know what? Unfuck yourself, Seattle City Council, in this regard. So we parked, went right up to her hotel room, but again, she said she wanted to have sex, and I as well told her I as well wanted to. But that was in the park. We sat in the car. Some time has passed. And this isn't the movies. You don't just knock everything over on the table and shatter everything and break all the electronics, and then everything just fits like a puzzle piece. No, that's not reality. So I assumed, okay, maybe cooler heads prevailed. That was fun. Maybe we can make out and fool around a little bit. But, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, we both made eye contact once we got in the room. Took our shoes off, got comfortable, had some water, joking, talking about the day a little bit, but we were still, feeling it. And I won't go into too much details because, it is personal. But I had the best sex that I have had probably since I was, I don't know, probably before, easily when you're like the first couple times you have sex in your life. And it's just like every time is like a trip to heaven. That's kind of what it was like. And it wasn't just because I found her so hot. And it wasn't just because she found me super hot. But just everything aligned perfectly. Like, I don't believe in astrology. I don't believe that Mercury in retrograde has to do shit about shit. But I also say, well, maybe I don't know dick about dick. I don't know. But whatever happened that night, everything, the stars aligned, the planets aligned, whatever aligned. Mercury was in horny retrograde. I don't fucking know. All I know is my Poundtown game was at an all-time high. And to back up here, it took me a long time, people, to get comfortable with my body in the sexual way. I always had a very negative, depression, anxiety-filled outlook on my body, and especially when it came to sex. I wanted it I almost wanted to get it over with at a certain point. I enjoyed the foreplay and the stuff leading up to sex way more than the actual sex, because that's when I just freaked out. Maybe that Puritan religious upbringing reared its ugly head. I don't have to think about it. That's absolutely a huge reason to do with it. That has a lot to do with it. It wasn't until, I would say, 29 or 30 years old have I really understood, like, you know what, just be yourself. Be who you are. Don't try to be someone you're not. Be comfortable in your body. And it took me so long, I feel like it took me a long time, to finally embrace that side of me. I started to eat better. I started to lose weight. I started to build up my self-esteem. And surprise, surprise, when you treat yourself better, other people notice that. I think you give off a level of charisma, confidence. You give off a sense of humor. I don't know, but I have to tell you, people, since I've looked at myself in a better light, better things have happened to me. Not like I wished it, or like what is that, a wishing board? You write all that dumb shit on a board and it's supposed to come true. I don't think anything has an easy answer. I really don't. Anything that they tell you to do in a book, read this book for $40, I guarantee you're gonna wake up a better person. I don't think that bullshit is real. However, I think it's undeniable if you like yourself, you truly like yourself, and you're self-aware of your flaws and you're trying to get better, and as long as you make that attempt, you start to have a better balance emotionally, mentally, and if you need it, spiritually. And that kind of positivity, I hate to use stupid buzzwords like positivity, but that level of self-love, I guess, again, that sounds even worse, but you know what I'm trying to say. It radiates, another buzzword, it radiates into other areas of your life. And I think it all came to perfection that evening with this beautiful woman, because that was perfect. Like, it was almost like it belonged in a movie, not a porno. I'm not going to get dirty or anything like that, but we did all the positions that I know how to do. It was a long time. I mean, we were at it for a couple of hours within breaks. You know, we had water and stuff. We showered once, then we started again, and I felt bad for the cleaning staff, but it was amazing. The whole time, I remember there was one specific time where I thought, this can't be really happening. Like, not to get I don't want to get graphic here, but I assume most of the people listening have had sex, maybe multiple times with multiple partners. I feel like you will then understand that, you know, every dick is different, every vagina is different, and not all go together the same way. Some are higher, some are lower, some are longer, some are shorter, some are wider, some are skinnier. You know, we're all snowflakes down there is my point. We're all different. You know, there is no blueprint. So sometimes there is some adjustments that are needed when you're doing those kind of things with a new partner, but you know what I'm saying. And sometimes it's harder than others to get the pieces to fit. You catch what I mean? But with her, there was no adjustments. It like, my penis and her vagina, it was like they were made for one another. I didn't have to do anything weird. She didn't have to do anything weird. It just fit. It just fit. It's like that really nice feeling when you're putting like two pieces of, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an analogy. My analogies here are running thin here, but you get that sense of wellness when you see something that fits together, that should fit together, and you just feel that warmth around your body, like, oh, that's nice. That's what it should be like. Oh, it's like when you're taking off that plastic protecting screen protector off like a new television or a new cell phone or a new whatever, any kind of electronic device that has a screen that has that plastic film on the top of the screen, and you peel it off and it's just so clean and perfect. It just fit so perfectly on that screen. Now it's off and it just looks so beautiful. That's kind of the analogy that I'm going for, but not really, because you're taking something off, not going something in, but you catch my drift. It just fit perfectly. And there was a point where I could not believe that this was happening, how this was so good, how it was perfect. I pinched myself, I pinched her. I still was like, this has got to be a dream. I must have been knocked out or something. I don't know what the fuck is happening. I'm not used to this. I don't do these things. And normally if I do these things, I feel awful. And I don't feel awful. I feel the complete opposite. And again, I'm not going to get graphic here because I don't think that's fair to her or myself. But primo time. A very sexy time. I would grade everything a 69 out of 10. It was beautiful. Again, I think I've said before, I don't think I've had sex like that since I was maybe 19 or 20. Not to fault my previous lovers, but you know what? I should apologize to the lovers I had from like 20 to 27 or so, because it's only been recently, as I already went over, that I have felt confident with my body, and so my sex game has gotten better and better and better and better and better. I mean, I'm not, I don't belong in a freak show or anything. But I'm just saying, I have never had any complaints. Quite the opposite. But this isn't about me trying to build up my self-esteem or anything, or talk about myself. But I'm just saying, I have gotten better. It's just like any skill. You hone it and you focus on it. You study and research things. You hopefully get better at it. So that's why I feel like I should apologize to the past lovers I had, because I really was all about me. I wanted to get it just over with. I would bagok just once and I would be done. It took me a couple of years to realize, men obviously 9 out of 10 times will bagok quicker than women. So there's things that you have to do, or you should do, if you're a considerate lover and you're not a fucking asshole, is to, again, I'm not trying to hand out motherfucking lessons here, but here's what helped me, is that's why I always felt like my pregame was so much better than my actual game. Because I like the oral stuff, I like the making out stuff, I like the body stuff, I like all that stuff. But when it came to actually the intercourse and the bagocking, it was not that big of a deal. So over time, I honed both of these skills, and I decided, I could just combine the two. I could combine my love of the pregame and then just extend it. Because odds are, if I do bagok early, it's not like my little Willie down there goes back into hiding. Usually a couple of minutes later, it's like, okay, I'm ready for round 2. But when I was younger, I really wouldn't care about round 2 because I was already feeling bad about round 1. So, again, you live and you learn. And I felt like I used all of my skills and my knowledge and my wisdom, and it all just gelled together into just one lovely, masterful night for both of us. I mean, we were both astounded by everything. We both were talking about it like, I can't believe this is happening. Oh, you don't believe this is either? This is amazing. And eventually I had to go home. I felt like I was flying on clouds on my way home. I was on cloud 9. I was so hyper, I couldn't believe it. And so of course we're talking when I get home, and then on that beautiful high the next morning, not related to her, by the way. We're still talking. It's been a couple days, and we're still planning on seeing each other before she heads out on a cruise. And we're also talking about the future of things. So I don't believe this is a one and done thing. And I'm very happy about that. But in the continuance of what the fuck's been happening with your boy Angelo the last few days, from that high to what happened the next day, it is truly astounding. Astounding. In the twisted cruelty of fate that it is. So here's what happened the day after the best sex night of my life. I don't think I have to tell you, my listeners, how much I was looking forward to going on this Idaho trip. I've been looking forward to going to this for a couple of years, to be honest. I woke up the day after the date, and about, I would say, midday, I felt like I was melting from the inside out. I had to go to the bathroom every 15 minutes. It looked like a crime scene when I was done. I felt so badly for the toilet. Because, I don't know if all Japanese believe this way, but there is a prevailing belief in Japan that all things have a level of sentience. They're not alive, but they have a spirit, a soul, an entity, if you will. For example, when I was walking around Tokyo, their fire hydrants would have signs next to them, and the fire hydrant would be animated with the face and everything, and it would talk about itself. I would look by a payphone, and the payphone sign had the same deal. The payphone was alive, talking to you about the rules and how much things cost and everything. So everything is alive there. Everything has a soul or an entity. And if that's true, then God help that poor toilet that I murdered that day. And things just progressed worse and worse and worse from there. Now, prior to this, in the morning, I had a dentist appointment. I thought that this kind of satanic possession of my stomach, of my bowels, was due to the dentist. Because they tell, I don't know how your dentist does it, people, but my dentist put some kind of coating on my teeth saying, okay, no coffee or food or whatever for at least an hour. And I always push back saying, but I'm hungry now. I want coffee now. And they said, well, that's fine. As long as you drink out of a straw, you're fine. But no food for an hour. You want that to sit. Well, the mass majority of the time, I follow the instructions. However, for whatever reason, that day, I did not follow those instructions. Shortly after leaving the dentist, I was drinking, I don't know if it was some kind of sparkling water or juice or coffee. I don't know what it was, but I distinctly remember the liquid hitting that goop on my teeth and me swallowing some of it, and it tasted awful. So, a few hours later, as I was emptying my bowels, I thought, well, maybe it's because I swallowed some of that fluoride, whatever they put on my teeth. I don't know. But it wouldn't stop for the whole day. And I started to sweat. I started to get the chills. I started to feel really fucking sick, like it came out of nowhere. But again, I blamed it on the dentist. I was home that evening and it persisted, so I texted the girl I spent the night with and I said, hey, I don't want to be an asshole or anything, but are you feeling sick at all? Were you sick yesterday? Here's my symptoms. And she said she was fine. And of course she was all concerned, what's going on? Do you need me to do anything? Can I help? And again, really nice person. She was offering to help right away. Like she wanted to nurse me back to health herself. It's not that serious. And plus, she doesn't have a car. By the way, her job is pretty smooth in the sense that it pays for everything. If you have to stay in a port town for a couple weeks, they pay for a hotel. They give you a little bit for food. They don't give you a car. But if that's the worst that happens, that's pretty good. So anyway, I woke up the next day, same problem. And now I'm getting concerned. I look up COVID-19 variant symptoms because you just can't be too sure these days. And sure enough, I had some of the symptoms. Now, my plans were that day was to go out grocery shopping and buy some stuff for the trip because I was heading out that next day bright and early. Like I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning. I was getting at my buddy's house by 7 and we were going to hit the road and try to be in Idaho by late midday. We had it all planned out. I had all my shit ready to go. I pre-bought some stuff. I mean, guys, I've been looking forward to this more so than many other things in my life the last few years. Just a couple days away with my bros, drinking, smoking, eating, joking, just, fucking brotherhood stuff, And the fact that I was feeling this fucking vile the day before I was supposed to leave, I couldn't do anything. Oh, and by the way, I was sleeping like shit because every hour or so I would wake up and I felt like some kind of fucking gremlin was crawling its way out of my asshole. And it was just awful. And so eventually I decided, well, I better go get tested for COVID because I have some of the symptoms. I don't have the loss of taste or smell, but I was nauseous. I had diarrhea. I had the fevers, the chills, dizziness, congestion, runny nose. Not everything, but enough. So it took me a long time, by the way, to actually find a quick... What do they call it? It's called a specific COVID test when you get the results right away. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about, the immediate test. I found them, but I couldn't take it until a day or two later, and it was too late for that. I needed it that day. And I don't think this was my white privilege talking, but I thought, surely, in one of the most vaccinated states in the country, we would have these quick action tests readily available, and we didn't. And even trying to find a clinic nearby that would do it was incredibly difficult. It took me a couple hours to finally find out that the Covington Urgent Care, as long as you fit certain parameters, would do this for you. And I filled out the form. I fit the parameters. They told me to come on down. And I spent about 2 hours there, all in all. They did the no swabs. The test came out negative. I didn't have COVID. I didn't think I did, but I wanted to be safe than sorry. But they did say that I had a stomach illness, a stomach virus. They said that I may have a stomach flu, but I said I didn't have a fever. So it's incredibly rare, to my understanding, to my uneducated understanding, that for you to actually have a flu and not have a fever, it's incredibly rare. It does happen. It happened to my mother once. It was very strange, but I didn't think it was a flu. So they told me, hey, you're contagious right now. Our recommendation is stay hydrated. You know, basically act like it's the common cold or you have the flu. Just stay home for a couple days. And people, I'm not too ashamed or embarrassed to say I broke down crying in the hospital room, because that meant I couldn't go to Idaho. That meant I had to stay home yet again and miss something yet again. I missed the 4th of July because of my father's health. I wasn't entirely sure if I could go on this trip due to my father's health, but everything got cleared. I got vacation approved at work. I just was coming off the best date I've had in years. Everything was pointing my way, and then I got that crushing news that, like, you're fucking sick. I literally woke up with a stomach illness 2 days before leaving on this much anticipated vacation, this much needed vacation. And guys, I was so crushed. So after crying in the office, I walked to my car, called my buddies to let them know that I wasn't going, started to cry then. I called my other buddy who was supposed to watch La Fonda when I was gone. I cried on the phone to him. And of course, my parents wanted to know what was going on, so I called my mother first and cried on the phone to her about everything. Like, it just was like at the Hoover Dam opening. Called the old man. He had no time for that shit, so he changed the subject real quick to complaining about his girlfriend. So, fucking asshole. Oh, I mean, I was crushed. I still am. As I'm recording this, I would have been in Idaho, I believe, my second day as I record this. Second or third day, I don't remember. But it's just, again, I don't want to be dramatic, but it is soul crushing in a sense, because I have wanted to go to this cabin for years, and I missed last year because of COVID concerns. I missed a previous year, I don't remember which one, because I was saving money for a Tokyo trip, and I don't remember the last time I've been there. It's been way too long. This was the first time we were going to get the whole group of friends together. We do fantasy football together. We've had a long-standing messenger thread, which is probably 8-10 years old. Thousands and thousands and thousands of memes. And I believe we were going to go out to restaurants out there, go fishing, go bar hopping. We were going to do some fantasy football stuff. I mean, I'm talking about it now, and I'm already getting very upset and teary-eyed. So that's what's been going on with me. As I record this, I do feel a little bit better. I haven't taken meds. I've been sleeping. I probably have been pushing myself a little too much around the house, because it's hard for me to just not do anything. I make fun of the old man and complain about him for doing the exact same thing, and I'm a hypocrite there, even though I can say I don't do as much as him. So it's tough. It's tough. All of my friends are there as we speak. That message thread is bumping, and whenever I look at it, I get mopey and depressed. Everybody wishes me well. No one's being an asshole or anything about it, which I knew they wouldn't, but, you know, you build things up in your head. So instead, I'm home, watching movies, playing video games, and just trying to get better so that I can hopefully feel better and go out with my lady friend again before she has to sail off into wherever she's going. So yeah, that's what's been going on with me. But I think we can wrap up here, and I can talk about the 2 movies I've just seen. The first movie I'll talk about, the one that I alluded to that I have been wanting to see for about 4 years, at least 3 years, is the movie Okja on Netflix. That movie is directed by the amazing Korean director Bong Joon-ho. He is the director that did Parasite, which is another one of my favorites in the last few years. He also directed Snowpiercer. I love that movie. Mother, which is an amazing movie. That's when I knew this guy was one of the better directors around. I have not seen his first big breakthrough movie, The Host, from 2007. I just haven't seen it streamed anywhere, and I missed it when it came out initially. But anyway, back to Okja. Okja is a movie about a young girl risks everything to prevent a powerful multinational company from kidnapping her best friend, a fascinating beast named Okja. So, to give it a quick Angelo synopsis there, think of a company that does genetically engineered foods or, mass farming. The movie is about the... Oh, what's a good way to describe it? The movie is about the uncomfortable nature of how we get our food, particularly in this country, but around the world. Why is it you can go to any grocery store anywhere in America and you can buy meat of multiple animals? It's because they're mass farmed, mass produced, and good God Almighty, this movie has an ending. I would say the last half hour has some of the most uncomfortable images I have seen in a movie in a long time. It's definitely going to stick with me, but that's the point. It's a beautiful movie for what it's about. It kind of goes off the rails here and there. Overall, I would probably give the movie a 7 out of 10 overall. But I do highly recommend it. It is entertaining. And you should watch the movie purely for the acting of Jake Gyllenhaal and Tilda Swinton. They were so good. So good. Jake Gyllenhaal is becoming one of my favorite actors. The guy is just so diverse in his skills. I have never seen a character like his character in Okja before. At least I can't think of one. And I can't think of who he's trying to parody. If it's truly a unique character that he created. If that's the case, good God. He is on the level of a... Oh, who's that Irish fuck that's amazing? Daniel Day-Lewis. Tilda Swinton is good in everything. Even in awful movies, she's great. That's where Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm sorry, buddy, you're just not there. If the movie's bad, you're also bad in it. You can't save the movie. Now, Tilda Swinton plays 2 roles in this movie. I feel like anytime she's in a movie, she should be given an award for something. And, of course, the other movie I saw was the sequel to Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad. And I expected a good movie. I really did. And I was not disappointed. I got what I asked for. In fact, I'd probably give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Well, no, that's too high. Maybe an 8.1 out of 10. I loved all of it. All of it. Do I like some of the things that happened in the movie? No. But I found it immensely entertaining. I've watched it twice. Once by myself and once with the old man, who he had low expectations because all he could remember was the first one from a couple of years ago, which I think we can all agree on is one of the worst, not only superhero movies, but one of the worst movies that's blockbuster movies from the last 10 years. It's one of the worst. Not the worst, but one of the worst. Definitely top 10. So that's what he was expecting. And even though I played him the trailer and was telling him, like, yeah, but it has the director from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He just has a good sense of comedy and action for movies like this. And I said, Dad, did you enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy? Oh, I love those movies. Well, give this movie a shot. And I said, tell you what, I'll just watch it with you. Which he was kind of pumped for. And he loved it. So I don't really want to go much into detail because I want it to be fresh and new for everybody. But if you have any doubts, and for whatever reason you trust my opinion on things, I say go ahead and give it a shot. You will not be disappointed. It's funny, there's action, it's entertaining, and it's got some depth. I felt very emotional for creatures and things that I did not think I'd feel emotional for. I've seen it twice, as I've already said, and I have sobbed every time the fucking starfish, you know? I don't want to give anything but the spoiler. But I felt so bad for the starfish, people. Oh, and I love the... Oh, anyway, I could keep going. But I don't want to give the spoilers. So, watch Okja if you have a strong stomach and you like good movies. and you like good acting, Tilda Swinton, Jake Gyllenhaal, oh my god. I'd bang both of you. And if you just want a good, entertaining action movie that actually has some pretty good cinematography and action and dialogue and character growth and humor is so important these days, give the Suicide Squad, give it a try. Do I think you need to watch the first one? Yeah, but that's just me. I don't know if a common person will enjoy it. I don't know. But anyways, on that happy note, I love y'all. Hope everyone takes it easy, takes it sleazy. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And, yeah. See you guys around the bend. Oh, and the new Kanye